Good day. Today I'm with Mr. Takayuki Kitagawa, who is the Consul-General of Japan to Bangalore. I'm also with Mr. Thyagu Valliappa, who is the President of Bangalore Chamber of Industry and Commerce. Pleasure to have you both with us
Thank
today.
you.
Yeah. Well, we've heard so much about the investment in Japan and companies in Bangalore doing so much about it. What is your roadmap to collaborations between Japan and Bangalore?
Well, firstly, I'd like to say our investment to Karnataka, first of all. I was in Chennai 4 years ago, and at that time the number of Japanese companies in Bangalore was about 200, and the number of Japanese residents at that time was 600. Now, in 4 years' time, the number of Japanese companies doubled, 475, and Japanese residents here is already 1,300. It's more than doubled. So the Japanese investment to, well, firstly, India overall has been growing very fast. And I have to say that particularly to Bangalore, the fastest growing Japanese investment, and it's most favorite place for the Japanese investors to invest here. I guess that due to the reason that the Bangalore was rated the world most dynamic city by the World Economic Forum this year. And that may be the major reason for the Japanese investors to invest more in Bangalore because of the environment.
Lovely. And when you talk about investment, I would like to ask Thyagu, $13.5 million being generated by the tourism industry. Where do you see the Bangalore Chamber of Commerce contribute towards promoting tourism across India?
Thank you, Sameera. I think as the Consulate General said, Bangalore is a dynamic city and one of the most dynamic cities. So going forward, it's going to be Karnataka. Bangalore is too congested already. We need to look at other spaces in Karnataka, and the government, the initiatives taken by the government as well as BCIC during this whole year has been that we were looking at sustainable tourism as we had an event, and the tourism program that we're having with the JETRO as well as the Japanese government today is an initiative that we're trying to promote tourism not only in terms of inward tourism but also the outward. As the Consulate General pointed out, there are more than 450 companies. The tourism between Karnataka or India and Japan is relatively very small compared to China or other parts of Asia. 78% of tourists in Japan come through the Chinese as well as I think Hong Kong and that specific area. So India probably is a very small fraction. So Japan and India are very similar in many ways. As history goes back, I think even the Consulate General pointed out, Tamil, the language Tamil and Japanese have a lot together.
Yes.
The Hinduism has a lot together. There is a lot of culture which is similar. Maybe way back, maybe a few thousand years ago, we would have been much closer as countries. And today, we're trying to rebuild that back again. And when the Consulate General came to us and said, you want to have a program with over 35 Japanese companies at the BCIC, I thought it would be apt to take this forward.
Lovely.
And going forward, the tourism is going to be, as Japan is planning Olympics in 2020, that is going to be a game changer. Similarly, we certainly need to have those kind of events in Karnataka and Bangalore, which could actually build tourism into much higher growth potential.
So talking about the Olympics and bilateral relationships between two countries, well, something very similar is promoting the ease of doing business in these two countries. I believe the Japanese government has looked at new business models. For example, the visa regulations. Can you tell us more?
Yeah. Well, we are trying to. Well, first of all, before coming here, I was in the cabinet office, and my government, particularly the Prime Minister's office, is trying to increase the number of tourists to Japan, aiming at 40 million tourists to Japan. At the moment, it's only about 10 million.
That's a big jump.
Big jump toward 4 times jump to 2020. And in order to achieve this, we have to work hard anyway. So my role here, actually, to bring in more Indians to Japan.
Lovely.
That's one thing I have to promote it, but and in order to do that, we have relaxed our visa requirement for Indian people, particularly for students and business people, and we have extended the duration of the visa effectiveness from 5 years to 10 years for businessmen, and also for students. We relaxed to waive bank statement. So for students who want to come to Japan, we don't need a bank statement anymore.
Wow.
That's going to be one of the huge steps we have made because we need more Indian brains actually for our survival.
Lovely, and that's when I'm going to ask Thyagu. Indians, a big wave of Indians who will be moving to Japan to the Olympics, and
Right.
they're promoting Japan so much. What are we doing at Karnataka to bring the influx of Japanese tourists and businesses here?
See, I think the Consulate General mentioned in his speech during the program, it's not what Karnataka does, it's how it evolves. I think it's an evolving industry, and as I mentioned, Karnataka has got probably one of the very well laid out tourism policy. Must thank our Minister Tourism who put out this program, Mr. Deshpande, because we have tourism for health, we have tourism for historic places, that is I think ancient spaces. We have tourism for various sectors, and this is probably one of the ways that we could catch up with other states like Kerala or for that matter up north, the Golden Triangle. So this is something which we are focusing a lot and supporting a lot in terms of BCIC, and the tourism is something which needs to evolve much faster. So if you have Japanese tourists in India, you need to have Japanese language people, you need to have Japanese back office supports, because what I can tell you, at least we in a place like Bangalore would probably know 2 or 3 languages, but when a Japanese comes to India, I'm not sure if he knows 2 or 3 languages, he probably knows only Japanese. So that is a big drawback, I mean that is a big disadvantage for him. So if there is a situation which is unwanted or uncalled for, how does he get out of it? So you need to have an immediate call center. And I think there was a lot of mention of the cost difference between Tokyo and India. That is where our advantage is. You could have call centers in India who could speak Japanese, and this could give you, back office support across. It needn't be only for people who are touring India, but it could be people who are touring, Indians who are touring Japanese, or Japanese who are in Japan. So you could have the call center thing. So just as the advantage between US and India was way back in the 80s and 90s, where the call center started mushrooming, this is a huge space, because if they are going to be 4 times their tourist space, and I can tell you, for one of the areas that Japan really needs to pull up a lot is on technology and the back office services. And who better can talk about back office than Bangalore, because we have created the back office in the world state is saying Bangalore is the back office capital of the world.
Okay.
So that's a huge opportunity both in tourism as well as business opportunity.
Lovely. So Bangalore is a very inviting a playing field for the businesses, but what we have heard from the business community is businesses find it very difficult to operate in Japan. They see it as a costly affair. One is the language, one is the cost of living itself, and also the connectivity. So what is the government and you as the Consul General doing to make a more comfortable playground and for businesses to thrive in Japan?
You're right. Firstly, I think JNTO and also JETRO representative have already spoken about business environment in Japan. Well, firstly, JETRO already spoke that the cost of living in Japan is not that expensive anymore compared to other major cities. And that's number one. And number two is that setting up business in Japan is not difficult. And as one of the travel agent representative who has set up his office in Tokyo, he mentioned that he consulted with the JETRO Bangalore here how to set up an office in Tokyo. And once they went to Tokyo, and the JETRO provided free of charge their offices, set up offices, initial kind of incubator office. And until the time they are confident in setting up their own office there. And secondly, the connection, of course, that JETRO office in Tokyo will provide major support for them to connect with related industries. And also JNTO, Japan National Tourism Organization, they will also try to help the office to get connected with tourism industries like hotels or local city hotels or whatever. They do that. So it's not that difficult for them to set up the office in Tokyo.
And a final question, let me start with Mr. Thyagu Valliappa. Well, as you've learned, I think India has come up 13 places from 65 to 52 on the Travel and Tourism Competitive Index. Where do you see this heading? Do we still climb up the ladder? What are our, positive index points?
Since you asked me about positive, let me keep to the things which makes us smile. I think the index, we should be targeting somewhere around the 20, 25 in the next year or so. Because what's happened is the GST is out now, so that would actually enable tourists to work a lot more freely between states. Because earlier, or probably till July 1st, we still have a country within a country. So when we have one state, one country, one taxation, it's going to be a lot more easier for people. And this would mean that the cost is going to come down and newer areas of tourist destinations are going to evolve. And I see this only becoming better and better because with the travel policy and the tourism policy and infrastructure development which is happening at the central government, I again repeat at the central government because the state government can do a lot more on the infrastructure, but on the central government, huge thrust has been given even for the rail link between Bombay and Delhi, the expressway link like the Japanese trains, bullet trains which are existing. If those come up, then the connectivity becomes a big plus for us. And going forward, certainly we need to target close to 20 to 25 in the next couple of years, and that would be a great achievement.
Lovely. And to the Consul General, well, how long have you been in India?
Well, I've been here about a month now.
A month. And you are the first Consul General of Bangalore?
That's right.
Karnataka?
Yeah. Yes.
Lovely. So, taking your experiences into account, what has been your feedback? And should you go back to Japan, what are the first things you would tell the business community out there to bring them to Bangalore?
Oh, okay. To the business community in Japan?
Yes.
Right. Well, and after I talk about it, I also want to talk about how to promote the tourism to Japan and also from Japan to Bangalore.
Yes.
Anyway, the first of all about the Japanese community, Japanese businessmen in Japan. Firstly, the Bangalore is a place for the research and development, high technology development area. And so far, Japanese investment here in Bangalore, they are more oriented toward the manufacturing sector. That is more like manufacturing investment in manufacturing itself is of course beneficial for both of us, for Japanese investors, and of course to Karnataka government, because it generates employment here, and for the Japanese, they can produce reasonably better products, I mean competitive products compared to the other countries. But since Japanese investment are more concentrated in that area, I have concern that we may be left behind of the world competitors, because the other countries, maybe Europeans or Americans, they are much more concentrated investment in research and development, knowledge-intensive sector, utilizing great Indian brains. And we are basically left behind in this sector. And my suggestion to the Japanese businessman in Japan is to invest more in research, development in high technology sector, so that we can catch up the technological advancement in the whole world, and we can be keeping touch with the advancement of the technological development. That's what message I wanted to give to the Japanese businessman.
Just to add what the Consulate General said, the name Toyota and Suzuki are more Indian than it's become an Indian brand now. I mean, Toyota right here in Bangalore and Maruti up north. They've shown us what the industry can do, and today I think we can't get better examples of the systems of Japanese systems than these two companies I just mentioned. And going forward, there is a huge opportunity for Japan and India to work together and create the manufacturing production 4.0, which is on robotics. And that could be a big game changer for us, because I think Japan is always a leader in research and technology. And as a matter of fact, from the BCIC, we are recognizing ISRO and Kiran Kumar, the chairman of ISRO, at our annual awards function. Because the space research, the defense manufacturing is going to be the two biggest game changers for India in the manufacturing, and our Prime Minister Modi's favorite topic, Make in India. And skilling, again, Japanese as well as Germans are the leaders. So it's a huge opportunity for us to work together and create more and more platforms like the two companies I've mentioned, and try and take further. And BCIC would always be open to looking at this, because as a matter of fact, BCIC is the only regional chamber which is got the Sector Skill Council in aerospace aviation. So that on the skilling, we can do a lot more with Japanese companies.
Yeah, that's that's exactly the point. You know, the Japanese technology is good at the material science and also robotics. And I'm hoping that more investment should be made in this area in Bangalore. Particularly you mentioned the Toyota, Suzuki. It's already a localized Indian company now, and they can do research here for the automated car navigation system. That has been doing research in you mentioned in Germany or in the States, but that can be done also in Bangalore with those major Japanese Indian companies, Toyota or Suzuki, and perhaps they may also shift towards the electronic car system, which the Indian government is backing up very
very much.
Yeah, very much at the moment, and that may be the way forward.
So I must also bring in the topic of the Japanese township, which is likely to come near Tumkur.
Okay.
And I think that is moving
Oh,
forward.
right.
And if there's anything that we can do as a chamber to speeding it,
Yeah, right.
because that is going to be a game changer for Bangalore, because that is going to be, I think, 5,000 acres of space, which is going to be Japanese township.
Right.
And we, from the chamber, can also facilitate, joint ventures and doing business together as well with Japanese companies.
Yeah.
And 478 Japanese companies in Bangalore. Can we look forward to a direct flight from here to Japan?
All right. Right. Direct flight. Well, my personal opinion, I'm sure it will take place from Tokyo to Bangalore with the growth of more Japanese investment, more Japanese companies,
Okay.
more Japanese residents. Well, I can foresee that because of the such a prestigious environment Bangalore has. And provided that kind of environment, I'm sure that more investment will come. And you mentioned that the Japanese township, that is also in our prospect, and that has been already formalized, provided infrastructure problem may be solved for the future.
Takayuki Kitagawa, Consul-General of Japan, and Thyagu Valliappa, President of Bangalore Chamber of Industry and Commerce. Thank you for your insights and giving us more data to show that business can only grow and be empowered through Japan and India collaboration. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. It was a jugaad.